What's up, boys and girls? I see you guys are back for more of my delectable secrets. In the previous episodes, I've gone over how to get a lead in the early and mid game, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to transform that lead into some juicy LP. Before we start, please make sure to slap that like and subscribe button for more informative content that'll help you reach your dream rank. About 83 of you guys aren't subscribed, so don't be shy. Become a part of the, you know what? I haven't really thought of what to call my amazing subs, so leave your suggestions below, and whoever comes up with the spiciest name will win a mystery prize. Anyways, today I'll be going over how to play the late game, whether you're behind, even, or ahead. The main concepts for today are getting picks, baiting Baron or Dragon, split pushing, and team fighting. Oh, and also sieging. Now, these methods don't mean jack if you don't communicate to your team. Most of the time, your team's just going to be a bunch of subhumans that are waiting for you to carry them, so you're going to treat them like dogs and command them as so. It will be imperative that you make great use of the typing function and abuse the ping button. It's just like Tyler once says, be alpha. I'll be explaining all these methods first and how to execute them, then I'll tell you guys when you should be applying them. It's a given that someone on the enemy team will eventually throw. The best way to get picks are to deny the enemy vision with control wards and sweepers. You can also just sit in a bush with your teammates and watch somebody face check and die. Another way is to catch a support when he's trying to get vision for his team. A lot of the time they do it alone and they're just begging to die. Whenever the enemy team suicides, you should try to get any objectives possible like a tower or a dragon, and if you kill a bunch of the enemy team and a lot of your members are up, you should be able to do Baron, so you should immediately spam ping Baron and go do it. Just getting Baron can bring you back in the game or close out one, so it should really be your top priority if it's doable. Sometimes you won't be able to get any objectives, so just use the time to gain vision control and or snag a few of their jungle camps. This game I found the Pantheon slacking trying to get vision in our jungle, so I leap on him, and although we don't get to kill him, we do manage to chase down the rest of his team and get a free Baron off of it, making this game winnable. You're only ever really going to want to do this if your team fight is really strong and you know you're going to win one. Enemy teams will often avoid the team fight if they know that you guys will win them, so this is a really good way to drag them out and force them into a fight that they don't want to take. Basically what you're going to do is set up around Dragon or Baron, and you're going to make sure you get all the vision around the area. One really broken thing to do, especially in low elos, is to sit in a bush, like I said earlier, and just wait for someone to walk in and kill themselves. Having the Baron or Dragon threat really incentivizes themselves to check and kill themselves, but you guys have to make sure that they have no vision on the Baron or the Dragon, or they may not even come close. If their team is smart enough and doesn't face check a single bush, then you guys can end up starting Baron, and then they have to get close to try to engage a fight, and that's when you guys should turn and go for the team fight. Split pushing could be a really good tool to close out games, as it lets you get free picks and also towers if done correctly, but if done incorrectly, you guys can actually end up throwing, as teams can collapse on people who are trying to push solo. This is a lot more effective the higher up rank you go, as people will understand if they can push a lane or not, and they'll have more map awareness to see if the enemy's coming for them. There are really two ways to split push. If your top and mid laner are both really good at split pushing, so like they're assassins who don't really want to team fight, and your top lane is like a Fiora or a Jax, then you can do the 1-3-1 split. When you do this, your solo laners go out to the outer lanes and you just hover around mid, so you'll be able to rotate to either side. Oftentimes the enemy will start to wander into their own jungle, which is where you can get a pick. In this game, we should have been able to get the Ornn, but that man is just too beefy. Otherwise, if you have like a mage mid, like a Xerath, then you guys are going to want to do a 4-1 split and let your top laner split. If your top laner is like a Malphite or just a tank who wants to team fight, then you don't necessarily have to split push. It's better to just team fight. For splitting to really work, you have to make sure that your team doesn't end up inting, so you need to type to them to not get engaged on, and you should ping them back if you think they're about to be. Team fighting is the most common way to close out games, and it's really good if you're ahead or have a really strong team fighting comp, but if you guys have a really bad team comp, which is really prevalent in solo queue, then sometimes this is not going to be your best choice. If you guys are ahead though, and you're pretty confident that you guys can win a team fight, this is a really good way to close out games and get more objectives. Team fighting is really easy if you have a really strong engage like a Malphite are, but if you guys don't have any real engage, then you should just go and bait Baron or something and drag them out from hiding. if their team is really strong at team fighting, like a Fiddlesticks, Leona are, etc., you're not really going to want to fight them straight up. So you're just going to want to get a pick and then maybe team fight with the man advantage. You're never going to want to team fight if you don't have the man advantage or if you guys aren't even in numbers, because this is just a really good way to throw the game, especially because they could probably get Baron off of it if they get a good fight off. If it looks like your team wants to throw into a team fight where you guys don't have more members, you should ping them back. Sieging is really team comp oriented. If you guys have really good siegers like Ziggs, Xerath, Caitlyn, then maybe you guys should consider sieging. When you guys siege, you're generally going to want to have 5 people all together in a single lane, but you guys shouldn't stack on top of each other as it makes it easier for the enemy team to engage. Slowly your siegers will poke down the enemy champions and start chipping away at the tower. This is pretty dependent on your siegers being actually okay at the game, so once again this will be more effective at higher elos than it is lower. When your siegers are poking and chipping away at the tower, they're most vulnerable to get engaged on, so you just have to try to protect them by standing in front of them and blocking any abilities that come their way. Now, you may be thinking this is all nice and dandy, but these seem hard to execute with a bunch of monkeys. And for the most part it is. Some things you can do to not throw games is, once again, typing and pinging constantly, but there are also things you can do individually. Probably the most important thing to do as a jungler is to not die when Baron or Dragon is up. The threat of your smite can stop them from taking an otherwise free objective after they get a pick. It's important to not go for a steal if you have a really high shutdown or Baron's up. Even if that Dragon could give you guys soul, it's not really worth it because after killing you, they'll just go to Baron, which is just as valuable. If you don't have these two circumstances, then you could do the hero play and go for a steal, but it's really just up to you. Another thing you could do is get vision for your team and spam ping once you see them on the map with your vision. You'll know you're doing these steps correct if your team is half deaf by the end of the game. When you guys are behind, you aren't going to have really that many options. You're just going to want to try to get back into the game. You're going to want to try to look for picks as your number one option. Or if you have a really good teamfight comp or see the opportunity for a really good team fight, then you can maybe go for that and try to get back in the game that way. And when worse comes to worse, you can always just do a Hail Mary, rush Baron if you see somebody goes bot lane. Now, if you guys are ahead, all these concepts become available to you. You really should just choose based off your team comp. If your team has really good split pushers, definitely do the split pushing strategy. If your team is good at sieging, you should siege. And if you guys are really good at team fight, try to get a team fight. But if they're turtling, definitely go bait Baron and force one. Over time, through practice and fail, you guys will understand which concept should be applied to each individual game based on your team comp. So just keep practicing it and eventually your jungle IQ will go up and you'll start seeing way more success in closing out games. I believe this wraps up today's lesson. There's a lot of way late games can turn out, so if you have any questions, make sure you drop them down below and join my Discord server. If you guys learned something new, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.